Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel, and welcome to this video in which I try to document at least part of my practices with the Lidl Glider. As you know, I'm not very good at flying. I rather build than fly, and I like to build with balsa, and we know that if I fly with balsa it's going to crash and it's not going to last very long. So I decided to make the Lidl Glider to practice, to get some stick time, and here you can see that indeed it does crash. I did have a crash where it actually broke in half, like the fuselage broke. You could see maybe some of the damage there, but I did not get that on camera. It would be a pity. It's a pity because that would have been a very good shot. What I'm doing here is basically trying to practice. It does fly, it does have the power to fly. I go at not completely full throttle, but maybe 3/4 of throttle. Here I'm trying to do some, I think, stalls I was trying to do, and by mistake I did a loop, which was fantastic, but it was not the intention. I was trying to do some power on stalls to see how it would react, to see what way it would stall. Got to say that the design is quite good of the glider, because it does not have any bad tendencies. Bad piloting is maybe more of the problem than the bad tendencies of the model. It is quite stable, it is quite big and quite stable. As I say, the positive things is that it does fly. The most important thing is maybe that it survives crashes. As you see there, it went once into a tree, it went once into a lamppost. You'll see here also some cartwheels, some crashes that even this crash here, that a balsa model would not survive. I did eventually find another field to practice, which is further away, so it's a bit more inconvenient, but doesn't have trees. So I was afraid of trees and lampposts already after a while. So in this other field I managed to kind of do the circuits and do the pattern around and go all around and try to bring it up and bring it down kind of on command. It does kind of do what I want it to do, even though sometimes of course it doesn't work, but overall it does behave well. I find myself often trying to, the moment that I have it up in the air, trying to bring it down to try to do the landings, and only recently I've kind of discovered that it might be worth to just keep it up in the air, to practice, to see how it behaves, to try to enjoy it also a little bit, not just to go into the stress of let's see how I land it. So it's also good from that perspective that I managed to enjoy this part of the hobby as I also enjoy the building. Nevertheless, I still try to do a lot of the slow flight. I try to do the approaches and kind of controlled crashes more than landings. I don't get it to crash, let's say, where I want it to crash, but somewhere in the direction at least. So it is getting a little bit better. I did also set up, I think one of you recommended to set up the rates, and I think I did set up like 3 rates for the control surfaces. I did try to use them at the beginning, but somehow it didn't work. Like, it wasn't enough. I needed to put in a lot of movement into the control surfaces. Yes, it does bounce up and down, and you see that I don't always manage to control it, but basically I do not use the rates anymore. They're configured in there, but I don't really use them. One of the things that I still want to experiment with, and it's about programming with the Radio Master, is to see if I can build in the flaperon. So basically use the same ailerons that I have, but configure them to be used also as flaps. For that I need to take out the Y cable, and I do have a 6-channel receiver in there, so it should be possible. I just need to figure out how to do it. Another of the challenges that I'm having with the model is that I'm consuming a lot of propellers. Really, like each time I go, even if I have a prop saver, the prop saver does work sometimes, but it's easy. I consume 2 to 3, 4 propellers every session, and that is a bit frustrating. Like, they're not expensive, I need to wait for them to come, so I do buy them in packs of 10. But it is frustrating that I don't get it to land in a way that I can reuse it, right? So that's a bit of the frustrating part, but I think it'll come with time, and this is the whole point of this, to practice this on this model, to break it as much as needed before I go and risk throwing other nicer models into the air. At some point also I decided to put on the camera that I usually wear on my head to record things. I put it onto the plane, and here you can see some of the footage that I was taking from the plane. The propellers that I was using now, they're a bit smaller because I thought smaller would be better because it would clear the ground when taking off and landing, but evidently wasn't enough. So then I did get some of the bigger propellers, and they do have more thrust, so you could carry the camera for a little bit more, but still it's probably a bit too heavy for it. But anyhow, some footage of the view from, let's say, from the point of view of the pilot that would be in that in the model. The nicer model that I am planning to go for are of course the Piper Cub, which I think will fly, but it will not survive a crash for sure. Like if it does a cartwheel, then it's gone. Good thing of that is I can use the electronics for another model, but it was a lot of work with the Piper Cub. I think it looks good. I would be disappointed. And another fantastic model that I have is the one that I got from Ray, the Hurricane from Dumas, which again I put in a lot of effort, and it was really a very enjoyable build, but I'm really afraid of throwing it up into the air and knowing that it might only fly once, because if I crash it on landing, then it's a goner, it's gone forever. But maybe not. I'm hoping that crashing this Lidl actually will help me bring up the skills, and that like this I can actually practice and then fly the bigger models like many of you do. In any case, thank you everybody for watching and for following along, for all your recommendations and your tips. I do try to answer to all the comments, and I don't always do what you recommend, I know, but I do appreciate all the comments and the recommendations, and enjoy these crashes here, and I'll see you next time.